Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video here on Marvel Strike Force, and today is Monday. Now, we obviously have some new events starting here today. We also have a few events ending here today, so there is quite a few things going on. We're going to be getting the Red Justice Alliance milestone going on. We spoke about this in the last video, I think, about the stuff that's upcoming here today. That's not really what I'm here to talk about. I'm sure that some people might be very sick about talking about Overpower, might be sick of me talking about it. But I want to talk about it in relation to the leaderboard, Monkey Business, and what kind of information that has come out from the bottom of the leaderboard. You guys know that I track these things every time there's a leaderboard worth tracking, and the numbers do not look good. And this is the first kind of leaderboard that has numbers related to what might be people quitting as a result of Overpower. So we're going to take a look at that, where things stand now, and some other things that have happened this weekend. So if you're ready to go, let's boil this down. Now, there was this nice post actually on Reddit about Overpower. I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but it is very well laid out in terms of a lot of the issues that we have with Overpower. I say we, not everyone has a problem with it, but I definitely do. And this is a veteran player of almost 7 years who has spent a lot of money, 15,000 euros or so, which would be pretty close in US dollars, honestly. It's not quite 1-to-1, but it's not far off. It's maybe 10% off at the most. So it's a lot of money, right? And he talks about all the things that have, again, things I don't really need to go over. The downturn of the game over the last 8 months or so. I would say it's kind of from September onwards. So I would say about 8 months where the game has trended downwards, in my opinion, of course. And then Overpower just kind of like shot it into overdrive. And a lot of the things, I'm just going to highlight a few things. Lack of content, nothing to do. It's an expensive click simulator. Raids are simfest, arena is mirror matches, and Cosmic Crucible was the only thing challenging, but Overpower turned it into a whale fest. Towers were zero challenge. I would agree to a point. I mean, I think that, yeah, if you were at the top, it probably wasn't a challenge. You just kind of needed the characters, right? The right characters, or had cored for them or purchased them. I'm actually playing War a little bit more than Crucible. I've actually given up on Cosmic Crucible. I will say that right now, that I have given up on Cosmic Crucible, mostly just because I don't find it fun anymore. And the combination of Overpower in conjunction with that, I wasn't super big onto PvP anyways, that I basically just quit it. I do my participate. You know what I do actually? I go into Cosmic Crucible. I'm going to show you. I go into Cosmic Crucible and I do one attack. And you'd be surprised how many people actually don't even do an attack. Okay, I forgot this time. But for for trial 3, I've done one attack. And you'd be surprised how many people actually don't even do their attacks or forget. And I bet you I could maintain platinum by just doing one attack and probably winning 1 or 2 every round. I'm not even joking. I just want to check my current rankings. There's probably people who haven't done attacks. No, maybe I'm the only one. Okay, maybe this time, but I'm telling you, this does happen. I'm sure some other people can attest to this, that, even if you do one attack, some people just don't do it. And so Frozen Dimensions are just frustrating. Preloaded turn meter is not challenging content. I highly agree. The speed bar, not speed bar manipulation, but also speed stat manipulation, which is what was happening on Fallen Dimension. It's lazy. I mean, stats are one thing, but speed and manipulating and just jacking up the speed stat is pretty lazy in my opinion. That's just my thoughts anyways. I did not complete Fallen Dimension Omega. It did end 12 hours earlier than the end of this event, but I did not finish it. I got to node 7 or 8. I think I did not core though. I used the health packs that I had previously that they gave us, or whatever that we had from leftovers, and I used that. But I did not do any coring. I didn't care enough to do it. So I did not finish one run. You could actually have done 3 runs. There was a Reddit post on that as well. So, and some people mentioned that in my Discord server, that you could have done 3 runs of Fallen Dimension. So there you go. So they can choose whether or not you want to do 2 runs or 3 runs or more than that. It was turned off for the regular Fallen Dimension. You could only do 2 runs for that. But for Omega, you could do more than 2. I don't think you could have fit in more than that because I think it was a 2-day cooldown. I think that was the maximum, but there you go. And so some of the rest of the stuff is just the way the game is, right? There's no emotional connection to the characters. There's characters that are in the game that we like, but are useless, beyond useless, right? You know, the Yondus, the Quakes, the Star-Lord, OGs. OG Thor did get a little bit of rework a long time ago, but you know what I'm saying is that there's a lot of characters in this where the characters are hollow. 80% of the character roster, let's be real, 80% of the character roster in Marvel Strike Force is pretty much dead. I would say at this point on my roster, anything below 400k, 500k are pretty much dead. Like all this shit is dead. Dead roster, dead, everything's dead. All this is useless. With the exception of a couple of characters that I just never built, because you probably saw Omega Red Phoenix Force in there, but otherwise the rest of these characters are all dead characters, and it's a waste of space. And it's garbage that the game is like that. That characters become obsolete so quickly. It is crazy. Predatory spending, we already know that. I don't need to go over that. And prescriptive teams. I agree that I think that prescriptive teams is kind of too prescriptive. There's just no theory crafting involved, and I play, as you guys know, play Raid Shadow Legends, where there is a lot of theory crafting. So if you're looking for a game that is more PvE focused with good theory crafting, that's Raid Shadow Legends, and it's definitely not Marvel Strike Force. So that's one thing that it seems things seem to be getting greedier than it was before, and it just seems like that. Well, we know that they don't care. I've given up trying to convince them to care. Scopely, we now know with the bulldozing of Overpower that they don't give a fuck, right? And so I'm still going to raise my concerns and my issues and what I have, but at the end of the day, I've kind of come to terms now, and maybe a little while ago, that Scopely doesn't give an F about us, me, or the community or anything like that. They don't care. All they care about is their bottom line. It's that simple. Speaking of bottom line, that's where I want to pivot into the leaderboard, right? So as you guys know, I have a second account, an alt account that I used to run, right? You know, that I used to make videos on for Monkey Business. Now, my Monkey Business on my main account. Oh my God, am I okay? So probably with the oh wait, no, with the ties, I guess I'm just maybe gonna make it in there. Where does the cutoff? Where's the cutoff for this? 500? Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm at 11,000. So am I like right there at the cutoff? Good God, 4963. Holy crap! So I'm just barely making it into the top 5,000. And this was like with 7 nodes of Pocket Dimension Omega. So there's a lot of people that actually did manage to run more than I did on Pocket Dimension Omega. So that's a little bit of a surprise. But let's take a look at the bottom of the leaderboard. So before we get there, though, I want to rewind things a little bit. I want to go back to about, I think this is about 4 weeks ago, right? With the Starjammers, it was Diamonds for Havoc, called The Legend Continues. This was in March. So this was the leaderboard for that, where the leaderboard sat at 260,000, which is still not good. To put it into perspective, just to let you guys know, that this time last year, we were sitting at about 340,000. Maybe about, we did cap out around 340, 350. That was when things were good. When the new player experience was great, when we had the boosted account stuff. For those of you who've been around for a while, you might have recognized or remembered this kind of stuff that was going on. And things were generally pretty good. The goodwill in the community was very high. You know, even myself, a lot of the content creators, most of the envoys were happy, and we were putting out positive content, right? Like more frequently, for sure. And then as things got to about August, September with Illuminati, things kind of started to slide down a bit. Now, what's interesting is that we had, I think this was 2 weeks ago, right? Or whenever this leader, I'm pretty sure this was 2 weeks ago. It actually went up, and I was shocked because this was the first time in about, since I had been doing this in the fall of last year, that it had actually raised. It had gone up a little bit. I don't know how, because I always try to get the, pretty much the bare, apparently I didn't get the exact bare minimum of the lowest, but this is a pretty low. Like, I don't know how they, I think this is a coring leaderboard, if I'm not mistaken. So there, it was possible to actually core 40 or 45 or however they got there. So that was possible, but pretty much this is pretty close to the bottom, 278. And same with this, right? Like I pretty much get the bare minimum points that is allowable on an event to see the bottom of the leaderboard. So I was shocked when we went from 260 4 weeks ago to about 278 2 weeks ago. Now this was pre-Overpower, so Overpower had not been, it came out right around the same time, but it wasn't enough that we would have had really seen anything about the influence of Overpower on the player base, things like that. But now we do, right? Overpower's been out for about 2 weeks now, and they're doubling down. It's coming out on PvE like this week with the Thunderbolt showcase, and now we get to the monkey business bottom of the leaderboard, and it's at 214,000. So this is quite dramatic. Now, I will say that this is the bare minimum input. There's some very tiny caveats, but that is the bare minimum input. So you could battle in raids with vigilantes. That would give you 5,000, which is way more than what I have on the leaderboard there. It really wasn't any other way. So the first node of Fallen Dimension normal was 250 fragments, which means that would have also resulted in 500 points. So this was a free claim that I did because I actually got to this after Fallen Dimension had closed. Like I forgot that it was on a different timer, to be honest, and being over in Germany, things are a bit weird with the time zones. And so I did the free claim, and that's 500. It's fine because that's still the bottom. This is literally the bare minimum that you can do on the leaderboard. Now, the caveat that I wanted to mention is it's not an energy leaderboard or a coring leaderboard. So the people who would even score on the leaderboard, I suppose, are two people. People who do the free claim and people who did any nodes on Fallen Dimension Omega or did the raids, things like that. But as far as the bottom goes, like there was only a couple of ways to reach the bottom. It doesn't really matter that much. But this shows the absolute bottom of the leaderboard because you can't get less than 500. So what this means is that only 214,000 people actually participated in this event. And while it is not 100% in terms of the player numbers, it is pretty damn close, right? You have to be level, 60 to engage in events. So sure, there's probably some players that were not of the level to do events, but this is pretty baffling. Baffling, that's not the right word. Maybe I'm flabbergasted. I think I've used that word before and people didn't like it. But anyways, this is shocking. 214. We went from 278 to 214. And even if we looked at this one before, from 4 weeks ago, then from 260 to 214. Like, so we've lost, like, between either of these events, we've lost over 50K. Like 50K, 46K here. And then from 2 weeks ago, it's like 65,000, 64,000. I mean, for sake of argument, I'm probably just going to say 50,000, really. But I mean, because it's just shocking. I find this absolutely shocking that the number has dropped this low. This is the first glimpse of what the player population looks like post or during. I guess we're not even post Overpower. We're still knee deep into Overpower for sure. And going into this new age of Annihilus, right? I think once people do get their Xavier, I've heard from a lot of people who are saying they're going to dip as soon as Xavier comes out and they get Xavier, which is going to be absolutely insane. So I will track this again in 2 weeks because we do have another leaderboard coming up, which was data mined for the bio gear leaderboard. And seeing in about 2 weeks time where this number goes from there, if this is accurate, right? If we see these kinds of numbers again, then it's definitely accurate for sure. But this is not a good sign of where the player base sits. But I would love to know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments down below. Let me know how you feel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.